Next, we have a real treat as Mary Ellen Bench speaks with Agnes Koc, Manager Marketing and Communications with Dorsay Development Corporation, about building communities from the ground up, and in particular, a case study on Veraine, the smart, sustainable community planned in Northeast Pickering. Mary Ellen is counsel in the planning group at Dentons, and I am fortunate to work with her every day. Prior to joining Dentons, she was city solicitor in Mississauga for 18 years. And before that, director of municipal law at the City of Toronto. She brings a broad municipal perspective to the projects she is engaged in, with an emphasis on problem solving and getting results. Mary Ellen, over to you, please.
Thank you very much, Kat. I am lucky to be joined today by Agnes Koc, as Kat has mentioned. Agnes has over 10 years of marketing experience and has exceptional knowledge of consumer behavior and branding. Combining this knowledge with a business degree and a knack for technology, it has presented her with many opportunities. A career beginning with Tridel gave Agnes her first look into the world of real estate and development, and then moving into consulting and working with various clients brought another layer of thinking to her repertoire. It was, however, her time in advertising agencies when she worked on consumer-centric national campaigns that solidified her understanding of the path to purchase and the power of both organic and paid campaigns. As a believer in hands-on experience, Agnes has personally handled all facets of marketing, from advertising campaigns to vertical campaigns and all the events, printing, and posting in between. All of this said, careful strategic planning with flawless executions are what her dreams are made of. Currently, Agnes leads the marketing and communications group at Dorsay Development Corp, where she contributes to the planning of forward-thinking mixed-use developments and serves as the lead on all things technology. So this, as Kat has mentioned, we thought is a great opportunity to introduce the concept of Veraine. Veraine is a master planned community that will be built in North Pickering and will have smart city principles integrated into it. So to truly understand what Veraine is all about, we've got a short video to start our session. But just to give you a scope on the size, Veraine is 4,000 acres large. It will house 60,000 residents and 45,000 new jobs will be created. It will be part of the growing Pickering Innovation Corridor and is an exciting opportunity for those in the GTA to see and participate in. So if we can start the video.
Mary Ellen, you're muted.
Yeah. So that gives you an idea of what we're looking at here. It's pretty impressive. And when you're starting with a blank canvas like that, you have a great opportunity, but also it's got to be a bit intimidating when you look at something so big. And when you look at smart city concepts, they're defined in a couple of different ways, but most common to all are focused on environmental sustainability and focused on the advanced use of technology. So what specifically will make Veraine a smart city?
Great question. So I think it's best to kind of step back for a second and look at the inspiration for the community as a whole. So like you just saw in the video, Veraine is all about a healthy community. And it's best described through the three main pillars that kind of guide our planning and everything that we do related to Veraine. And those three are connected, thriving, and complete. So the connected part is that smart cities keys. And for us, that includes keywords like future focused, integrated planning, inclusive, and has specific call outs to things like transportation, low carbon, smart systems. So in planning Veraine, technology and innovative practices as well as innovation are certainly top of mind. But something that we're very careful about is not doing technology just for the sake of doing technology. That's very important to us. Like I said, the community is all about being connected and thriving and complete. So all of those three facets need to work together. So we're committed to integrating concepts and influences of a smart and connected community, but not relying on a specific technology or a pulse word. So again, it's about the outcomes and the benefits, not just the specific technology itself.
Right. Yeah, and that's an important point, I think, in terms of how you move this forward. And you could see it in the pictures. I was at a smart city conference last year in Berlin, and the speaker there explaining their smart cities was making that point very clear, because their perception of what we have in North America was very different from what they call a smart city in Europe. So
Yeah.
yeah.
We've actually done quite a bit of work of looking at best-in-class examples around the world and specifically Europe. So definitely that influence is coming through to our planning and the way that we approach the idea of a smart city.
Mm-hmm. Great. So when you look at the GTA, Toronto has become the center of many innovation networks that extend out in all different directions. So based on what you're seeing with the planning and demographic trends, do you think our populations are welcoming these innovative communities and homes?
I think so. So looking at Pickering specifically, that's where Veraine is going to be, Northeast Pickering. So Pickering, the city of Pickering has designated land in its Seton community as an innovation corridor. And that development is attracting and will support high-tech hubs across a variety of industries. So Veraine is a really good natural continuation of this innovation corridor. But looking at, community itself, so smart cities, technology, those are certainly hot topic items. You don't have to look far when it came to sidewalk labs in Toronto, a lot of debate. But Veraine is a little different. So our focus is healthy living, not just technology. And that kind of puts a different angle on it. And it's different for the consumer. So especially today, consumers are extremely smart about their purchases. We all know this. All of us do lots of research before we buy anything, and now it's easier than ever to do that research. Standing in front of an aisle about to buy something, you could call a friend, you can Google the item, you could price check it. So all of those things are amplified times, 100 when it comes to something like our homes, which is the most emotional purchase that somebody can make. So if we look at that, it works in our favor when it comes to Veraine, just because what we're doing is being transparent. We're committed to our vision for a healthy community, for people, for the environment. You know, we want it to be connected. We want it to be thriving. So we hope that all of those concepts will attract the right people into the community. Interesting, actually, last year we did some research, asked some people questions about their preferences and knowledge when it comes to sustainable homes and future communities. So among the respondents, so many were quite familiar with the concepts of sustainable homes. And there were very few, I'd say less than 10%, that actually disliked the idea. And among those that were familiar with the idea, many were also willing to pay more for homes with those attributes. So things like solar panels, Energy Star homes, the appetite is there. And as we can see through the markets of smart technologies, whether it be thermostats or any other in-house smart technology, people are starting to see the benefits of these. But you know, that trust component is really the differentiator here. And so we hope that through a community that is focused on healthy living, we're able to gain that trust.
Yeah. And you also talk about other ways of optimizing solar gain through things like the street network and grid network. So we heard the previous panel, and Sean Slack was talking to us about 5G network and the use of that technology to promote municipal services as opposed to just like assisting homeowners or businesses. And how does that integrate with the concept for Veraine?
Yeah, so I'll just touch on that True North grid system. So in the actual planning of Veraine, what we decided is to make a move where the street network kind of rotates a little bit and it's aligned with True North. So that optimizes solar gains. It helps set us up for all of the environmental protections and sustainability that we hope to have in Veraine. When it comes to specific digital infrastructure, though, we're not quite there yet. So just as we plan, we're making sure to keep in mind all of the elements that allow us to kind of future-proof, if you will. But we don't have specifics yet aligned for, you know, what digital infrastructure will be put in and how exactly it's going to tie in with the infrastructure of municipalities. But we'll get there.
Yeah. Sounds exciting. So when we look at today's world, we're doing this conference online because the world has changed so much and we're dealing with COVID. So COVID has also made a really big difference in how people think about working and living and combining the two, as many of us have experienced working from home. It's opened up a lot of discussion in that area. So before COVID, live, work, learn, play in the same community was discussed in terms of quality of life, but it's, I think, taken on a deeper meaning now that a number of us, I don't want to say have been forced to live it, but it's a necessity in today's world. So how will the digital infrastructure that's proposed for Veraine deal with that kind of development?
Yeah, so certainly, you know, the world's changed. We're working, living very differently than we have been before. And, you know, the impacts of that for planning is that more than ever, all of these elements need to be considered. So as you saw in that video, you know, we've thought about where people live, where people work, where people shop, and that interconnectivity is more important than ever before. Something that's actually interesting on the point, and then I'll get back to your question. One of the stats that we love to talk about internally in terms of guiding principles for this community is the impact of loneliness. So many people have heard this, but the health detriments of loneliness are equal to smoking 15 cigarettes a day. And I think we've all felt that to a degree through COVID. It kind of hits closer to home more than ever before. So in proposing and planning a health-focused community, we're talking about not only physical health, but also mental health. And that certainly is a big point when it comes to that live-work environment. When it comes to that digital infrastructure piece, like I said before, we're not quite there yet. But I think by setting all of the ground work that we're doing now, looking at best-in-class examples around the world, we'll be able to layer whatever technology makes sense at the time to allow people to seamlessly connect with one another, whether it be for professional or personal reasons.
Yeah. So when this community is built out, really, like, people can stay there without leaving it for any reason. It's big.
That's the hope.
Yeah. How are you dealing with interconnectivity on a bigger scale in terms of reaching out to other communities around Veraine?
Yeah, so we're working very closely with the city of Pickering. Veraine is located in Northeast Pickering, and Pickering have been phenomenal, responsive partners in all of this, from visioning to planning principles. We want to make sure that we are a part of the greater community that they're building. Pickering has so many great initiatives happening now. There's a lot of infrastructure that's coming to the city. There's a lot of new communities being built in the city. So we want to make sure that we are connected to all of those. Although Veraine as a community itself will be healthy and connected, it's certainly important to tie into the surrounding area of the city of Pickering as well. So we're definitely working closely with a lot of those partners to make sure that that isn't overlooked.
Great. So one of the other big areas again relates to environmental sustainability, and there's a lot of open space and parkland in what we saw in the video with respect to Veraine, a lot of green roofs, a lot of good concepts moving forward there. So can you tell us a little bit about environmental protection and sustainability as it relates to what's proposed for Veraine?
Yeah, so health, like I said many times now, it's really the cornerstone of the Veraine plan. So healthy people, healthy planet need to work together, and that's how we feel that success will happen for the community and for the people that are going to live there. So what we're striving for is a resource efficient community that has cost-effective community scale solutions to achieve things like reduced greenhouse gas emissions, energy and water consumption, waste generation. We've looked at things like vacuum waste. We also want to integrate facets of things like, well, the Canadian climate. We all feel it every day. The temperature is a little different, and there's also the reality of climate change. So we want to make sure that we're resilient to a changing climate and the varying characteristics of our Canadian climate through things like infrastructure, building types, community and home design. So all of those elements are being considered. Something that Mary Ellen, you touched on earlier, that's probably my personal favorite facet of the entire Veraine plan, is bringing in the existing hedgerows that are already in the lands. And what we're doing is integrating them into our plan so that they become a natural trail system. So historic current hedgerows and concession roads turn into a beautiful trail system for people to use. And as you saw in the video, both during summer and winter months. So it's a nice element to bring in that natural feature into what's going to be, a smart, healthy community. Other elements that we're looking at from a sustainability and environmental position include stormwater management. So what we want to do is have sustainable designs that captures the most amount of natural rainwater that we can. All of these elements are things that we've been looking at and that are pivotal to the plan, not only because we want to build the best possible community that we can. It's something that we believe in, and that once again go down to those core principles of a healthy, sustainable, thriving community.
As I said at the beginning, it's great to start with a blank slate on something this big. It must be a bit overwhelming sometimes to have to think through all of those different areas. And you mentioned working with the city of Pickering and that relationship going well. and I guess the extended community as well, because this is a community that's going to be available for people at all life ages. So a big topic today is the whole area of healthcare and long-term care. And I'm like, that's being built into the Veraine community as well as an integral part of it.
Yes, so we're actually working with experts in that field. One of the main inspiration points for Veraine actually came out of what's called Healthy Cities Summit, and that's in London, England. And what that conference is physicians coming together and talking about how the medical community can help impact cities in planning and infrastructure. So a lot of the theories and a lot of the conversations that came out of that definitely were layered onto our initial planning and initial thoughts for Veraine. And we continue to work with that organization to make sure that a lot of that is being reflected here. And similar to that, we definitely see the importance of that community aspect. So Mary Ellen, you mentioned kind of, talking to the city, which are our partners, but as well, just local residents in Pickering. So we have worked with some local residents to get their input on the plan, and moving forward, we're very excited to do a lot more of that, just because it's equally important to get the input of the consultants and professionals and best-in-class examples that we have, but also there's nuances that only community members that live in the city can tell us, and those opinions are extremely important to us. So we're definitely very excited for all of those initiatives that are coming up.
Yeah. Well, I'm really looking forward to seeing the community develop. It's an exciting opportunity, and thank you for joining us today to explain that to everybody.
Thank you.